I've pretty much gotten through what I wanted to get with you on. Robin, I'm going to kick myself 5 minutes after we end this for something that I should have asked you, because I could keep you here from now on, brother, because you've got a wealth of knowledge. Your whole team is very, very impressive. Is there anything else that you would like that we didn't hit on that you would be kicking yourself about having not conveyed it right now? Is there anything that you'd like to touch on?
The only point I'd like to make is um, with the Black Secret, if you do study with us, first of all, we are affordable, and that needs to be made very, very clear. We are affordable, and our thing is very, very much you take the information at your pace. So if you've got 5 minutes today, watch 5 minutes of our content, freeze it, come back to it 2 days' time. If you can get through a whole 2 hour session, you can get through a whole 2 hour session. If you misheard what I said, you can replay the video and come back to it. If you want to follow what I'm saying, you've got the notes in two formats. You've got the notes that are exactly the same as my PowerPoint. You've got my notes as text. Once you've studied a class, you can test yourself. And we have quizzes, and the quizzes, we have an algorithm that will mark your quiz and then give you the feedback. So this way you can test that you're learning. If you want to write to me or any members of the team, you can put your comment in and give me a day or so. I will get back to you. If you want clarification on the source, I can get back to you, that kind of thing. And so we intend to add more and more content. So we've got about 55 hours of history content. We're going to add to that. But we've got about 20 hours of entrepreneurial content. We're going to add that to that too. And so ultimately, it's going to be a one-stop shop to give people a Black history, Pan-African education aimed at the adults, and so that the adults are in a position to teach and guide the children.
Mm-hmm. Now, what about this book right here? This is the second edition of When We Ruled. Are you planning on doing a third edition? And I know that you mentioned during the course that there is updated material that is not in the second edition that is in the course, but are you
That's
going to
right.
be doing a third edition?
Yes. The second edition is 822 pages. The third edition, I'm looking at around 1,000 pages.
Okay.
And I intend to start that in the second half of this year with a view to it'll probably take me about a year to write it. So we're
Mm-hmm.
looking at around the middle of 2025. And yeah, it's going to be big, and it's going to be really all the updates that have happened. So for example, when We Ruled came out, the discovery that the first place in the world to be doing iron was Nsukka in Nigeria. I didn't have that information. Do you see? Um,
Mm-hmm.
the 6,500 BC boat discovered in northern Nigeria that hadn't been found yet. So these are the kinds of things where we can update the findings, and some of the images that we now have, because I'm very, very keen to show my reader the fine art, show my reader the monuments, show my reader the manuscripts. More of them have become available so I can show you these things. And they're already on the Black Secret, but they will go into the book.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay, I think that's it. Um, I still would highly recommend that people pick up Robin's book, When We Rule. It is quite voluminous, but a lot of solid, chock full of solid information. Brother, I want to thank you so much. As I mentioned earlier, the work that you're doing, and we've got some other folks that are out there, Manu Ampim, Anthony Browder, Dr. Kilimanjaro. People like that need to be like yourself need to be held up and given your props for the diligent work that you're putting in. I can't thank you enough. It's an honor, brother, to spend some time with you. I really appreciate that.
Thank you very much, sir.
All right now. And to George and Danny, thank you guys too. That's part of Robin's team. Those brothers are dynamite. There he is.
Charles.
That was a beautiful conversation.
Chuck.
Yes, indeed.
Illuminating conversation.
Yes, sir.
Just one thing.
Yes.
You guys covered a lot of ground. Robin was on fire. Loved your questions. But just wondering, going back to the ancient Egyptians, we all know that they were black.
Right.
But I'm thinking there's one other question that I would like Robin to answer. Because we know what the Eurocentrics are going to say. Typically, they're going to say, okay, what about Ramesses II? Hey, Robin, wasn't his hair allegedly red? What would you have to say about that? And how come he had a hook nose? And wasn't his lips rather thin? Hey, what are you going to say to that, Black History man? Go on. I dare you.
Right, Ramesses II, very simply. Physical anthropologists are trained on a book called Science and Archaeology by Eric Higgs. And in that book, there's an essay called The Hair of the Earlier Peoples. And what that essay does is it trains archaeologists on how to handle ancient hair. And that that essay points out that mummies found among the ancient Americans, Native Americans, who you'd expect to have black hair. Some of them have got blonde hair as well, from TUC. And so what the article discusses is when you subject a person to the mummification process, the use of natron, it causes both cuticle damage to the hair, and it also changes the hair color. So you can have what appears to be ginger hair, but when you look at the medulla and the cortex, their hair can still be black. And the article even gives an example of that. They also point out that the reducing agents used in mummification they give an example of an animal which you can compare the damage to the hair. And the animal they use, interestingly, is sheep. And the question is why did they use sheep? And you can work it out because hair damage that can happen to a sheep, that's the closest to woolly hair. Do you get it? So Brothwell and Higgs don't say why they used the sheep, but you can work out that that's what it is. All right, now Ramesses II. Ramesses II was one of the mummies that was used to do the postcranial study. The postcranial from the neck downwards. Does that make sense? To work out his body proportion. And he was one of the Negroid mummies that came out in the study. Does that make sense? So his body proportions are just as African as anybody else's. All right, now let's talk about the nose. The nose being very, very prominent and so on. Even Egyptologists worry about going there because if you look at the portrait statues of Ramesses, and the biggest portrait statues there are the ones at Abu Simbel. Abu Simbel, the nose couldn't be any more African. And so I don't think that you're going to want to run with the mummy nose.
Thank you, George, for throwing that in there, brother.
Yeah. So basically, if you come across a Eurocentric that's going to argue with you, trying to put that argument across using Ramesses II, remember to talk about the tropically adapted body. That measurements were made of the body. The body is tropically adapted. It is not what do they call it? European or terms gone out of my head, but it's not European proportions. Sorry,
yeah, temporally adapted.
Temporally adapted. That's it.
Of course, is that Ramesses II died in his 90s. every 90-year-old on this planet has got white hair, not ginger hair.
Exactly.
So if it's ginger haired, you know that it was damaged due to the mummification process.
Yep.
So if someone wants to find me somebody in their 90s who doesn't have white hair, be my guest.
Danny, do you have any questions that you want to throw in there too, brother? Got anything that you want to?
Oh no, I'm strictly observer. I'm just taking it all in tonight. Yeah,
All
I'll
right.
save my questions for another time. Thank you.
All right. All right. Appreciate you guys, man. Thank you so very much again. I'm gonna let you go, and I'm looking forward to uploading this beautiful conversation.
Yeah.
And in fact, the one that me and George had the other day, just prepping for this here, man, that was good enough to share publicly, man.
No doubt, man. No doubt.
Yes, indeed. You guys are great, man. I love it, man.
Okay,
Thank you so much.
Okay,
Appreciate
we'll
you,
see
man.
you in 2 weeks' time, yeah?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
All right.
Thank you very much, sir.
All right.
Take care too,
Bye
then.
now.
Brilliant. Take care,
Thank you.
Jack.
Bye-bye.
You
Bye-bye.
too.
Bye-bye.
Thanks again, Robin.
Thank you.